Ijaw Publishers Forum, Media Conference 2024 Maiden Edition Communiqué. On Wednesday, December 11, 2024, the Ezor Publishers Forum, IPF, hosted its first media conference and annual dialogue with the theme, Advancing the Quest for Economic and Political Justice, at the DSP Alamieyeseigha Memorial Banquet Hall in Yenagoa, the capital of Bayelsa State. The event featured a thorough discussion of various issues that impact the Ezor Nation. Top government leaders, environmental activists, and media professionals were among those who attended the conference. The conference discussed the partisan political rift in the Ezor Nation and, as a result, condemned such an act. The conference also examined how certain Ezor political office holders responded to their fellow Ezor. According to the conference, there have been cases of Ezor political office holders closing their doors to their fellow Ezor and, more significantly, favoring outsiders over their Ezor brothers and sisters in terms of aid. The conference voiced concerns about a few national issues that have a consequence on the Ezor Nation. The conference focused specifically on the ongoing discussion on tax reform measures in the National Assembly and the Ezor people's seeming silence. At the conclusion of the discussion, the 2024 media conference and annual dialogue decided on the following: demands for resource management and self-determination have grown as a result of the Nigerian federal government's marginalization and mistreatment of the Niger Delta people. That the Ezor people and the region as a whole are demanding more control and autonomy over their natural resources since they still bear the brunt of the country's oil wealth. That the urgent problems affecting the Niger Delta region, including environmental deterioration, economic marginalization, and political isolation, must be addressed right away by the federal government and other interested parties. That in order to confront the continuing marginalization and seek a better future for themselves and their children, the Ezor Nation and the Niger Delta as a whole must stand together and be resolute. That despite the long-standing issues facing the Ezor Nation and Niger Delta region, such as environmental degradation, economic marginalization, and political exclusion, the region, and Ezor Nation in particular, must continue to be resilient and committed to fighting for their rights. That until their voices are heard and their rights are upheld, the Ezor people must keep fighting against political, economic, and environmental injustice. In addition to calling for more inclusive and representative governance, the conference called for increased investment in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. It is imperative that Ezor people unite and adopt a unified stance on the tax reform bills currently being debated in the National Assembly. Additionally, the Ezor Nation must assemble its brightest minds, especially those in the legal profession, to critically examine the bill and adopt an unanimous stance while the NAS gets ready for the public hearing. That Ezor leaders, especially those in political position, should maintain an open-door policy, welcome Ezor brothers and sisters into their offices, and offer support when needed. That the Niger Delta region and the Ezor Nation would lose if they were unable to unite and fight as one. That the Ezor people themselves, who have always positioned themselves as their own obstacle, are the determining factor in the Ijaw people's unity. That because of the self-centered actions of certain leaders who constantly prioritize their own interests, the Ezor Nation has not advanced despite the Ezor people's aspirations for political, environmental, social, and economic liberation. Therefore, the interests of the Ezor Nation should come first for those politicians who represent the Ezor people or the nation in the governmental organs. That in order to advance Ezor Nation, the Ezor people must seriously consider what they consider to be fairness and prioritize it. That the Ezor people have to hold their sons and daughters responsible, as well as institutions that have betrayed their interests. The armed struggle against the federal government and multinational corporations that began with the INC and IYC has changed, claiming that it has turned into a personal battle that has exacerbated the Ezor people's neglect, poverty, environmental genocide, and general unrest in the Ezor Nation. This is in contrast to the benefits of democracy, justice, and development, which have been overthrown by self-interest. That in order for the Ezor Nation to prosper, its citizens must make sure that their languages, cultural identity, customs, and values are preserved for future generations. They must also work to eliminate internal divisions by fostering social cohesiveness across the Ezor Nation, irrespective of zonal differences. Even though the Niger Delta is a region that produces gas and oil, the conference also addressed the problem of poverty there, particularly among Ezor people. That through the Ministry of the Niger Delta, the Niger Delta Development Commission, and the Amnesty Program, the governors of the Niger Delta region, especially those from the Ezor extraction, should encourage entrepreneurship and educational opportunities for the populace. That the Ezor people must engage in politics that serves their interests. If its leaders want to escape political enslavement, they should take the initiative and start their own political parties. That Ezor media professionals who are presenting the Ezor story accurately should receive financial support from Ezor leaders and all prosperous Ezor sons and daughters. This news is reaching you from Ogulaga Vanguards Limited. The true face of Niger Delta. We tell your story better.